Hey, Pamela.
Hey, Rachel.
Thanks for joining us for Coffee and Conversation with Rachel.
Thank you for having me. It's nice to be able to get dressed up, whatever that feels like.
Well, you look fabulous today. You look super cute. So since it's Coffee and Conversation with Rachel, what is your favorite coffee, your go-to caffeine with 4 boys?
So I do love an iced coffee. And now we've been drinking a lot of espresso because coming back from Italy, been enjoying that. So Eric has learned how to perfect that. And he serves me up one with cream and sugar, of course, because, I love my sweet. So anyway,
Did y'all get an espresso machine coming back after Italy? Okay,
did.
Paul's been debating. I don't like coffee at all, but he keeps saying, maybe we need one now since we came back from Italy too.
Yes. And, with a bunch of kids, you kind of have to have...
You have to have some caffeine in the day.
Yeah, it's just like, vital.
Yes. My go-to is like a chai tea or just picking up tea from somewhere like Sonic or McDonald's or wherever I'm at.
H2O.
Yeah, but there's not one super close. So,
Yeah,
but I do like
true.
H2O.
It's, all the flavors.
Yeah. What's your go-to flavor there?
Probably the coconut.
Okay, that's a lot of people's favorite.
Yeah.
I do like that one.
But
I just don't go there a lot, so.
yeah. It can't be far away. It has to be,
Convenient, you're passing by.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes. So you have 4 boys and I have 2. And I know how much energy is in your house and craziness and Nerf gun fights and sports and all the crazy that comes along with it. What would you say is your biggest challenge of discipling 4 boys in today's culture?
Biggest challenge of discipling 4 boys in today's culture. The thing about 4 boys is they compound. So 1 boy is manageable. 2 boys seems doable. 3 boys, you've gone off the deep end. And 4 boys, you're just drowning. It reminds me of, Jim Gaffigan's, comedy. So he's like, this is what it's like to have 4 kids. Imagine you're drowning and someone hands you a baby. It's like, that's what I feel like with 4 boys. I'm like, we're just gonna, we're gonna get out of this one day. But for now, we're just in the trenches, And so in today's culture, there's a lot of talk about, boys, well, I guess I should say, there's a lot of debate about women's roles, and then how does that affect men's roles, and so women, they're it seems like in our culture now, women are striving to climb the ladder, and what does that mean with regard to where do men fit into that, and I want to teach the boys that they have to love their wives, and and when they are the leaders, they will grow up to be the leaders of their families, and so they have to be given the freedom to, and they have to be told that they are the leaders of their families, and so when they're kind of seen as or kind of pushed under, and when women are kind of taken over that sometimes, then we have to remind them that it's their job to lead spiritually their families. And so I think that's the hardest thing right now for me is like, I want them to be confident that they are that God wants them to be the leaders of their family. So, and not to be viewed as less than,
Yeah.
So it's a real struggle because, we're always taught women should, respect their husbands and husbands should love their wives. And so how can I help my boys to love well their future wives one day, So I have to model for them I have to give them opportunities to practice that now. And thankfully, they love me well because Lord knows that my boys love me, not because of how I've taught them to love me, but in spite of how of the messes I've made. So
they're all so sweet too. They all have such a kind heart.
They have sweethearts, and I think that's God's love for me, actually, because I have not always been very loving to them, and there have been many times when the Lord has told me, He's like, I'm showing you how much I love you through the boys that I've given you, because they're going to love you when you don't deserve it. And I think that's the way of Jesus. You know, he teaches us how to turn the other cheek, and I think He teaches us through our children. And it's been sweet to see the boys forgive me when I've wronged them, and it happens all the time.
I've seen you, you're very good at this, apologizing to your boys. I've seen you do that firsthand. And I remember when I was I guess there was a therapist or something that came to Westover one time, and they were like, 80% of parenting is apologizing to your kids. And that has like stuck with me so much, because I'm like, oh, if I mess up, like if I can just remember, apologize. Right. And it's just an example to them on, you can mess up and, go through hard things, but go back and talk about it and apologize and talk through it. And you're really good about that.
Thank you. Yeah. There's many times at night. This is kind of when you feel like you can relax with your kids and apologize at night, because you want the day to end well, and you put them to sleep, and you don't want them to have fears about the next day or fears about going to sleep or whatever they might face the next day. And my sister modeled this for me, but one of the things that I try to tell the boys when they're afraid at night, or when they're sad, if it's not been a day that's met their expectations, as I try to tell them, God lives in you, and He helps you to overcome the times that you've not done your best, or the times that you've let someone down, or the times that you've disobeyed. He helps you to overcome those times and to do better the next time. And so remind them. I think we have to just remind our boys constantly that God lives in them and He helps them. And it's not their doing, it's God's work in them. And He uses everything. He uses every wrongdoing to help us navigate and to turn around and to remind us that He loves us. So, you don't learn so many things in life when, you learn when people forgive you, when people forgive you for something that you don't deserve.
Yes.
And there's been many times when I've yelled at the boys. So I struggle with anger. I guess that's a common problem when people disobey, when they disobey, and they're, throwing things around the house and everything's falling down and crashing down. But it's like, I struggle with anger. And one of the things I finally had to do is I had to tell the boys, so I get this face, I get this kind of, they call it mean face. And it's not a good look, okay? So it's like, I grit my teeth and, I don't sound good. And I had to finally tell the boys, okay, help mama, because I don't want to have a mean face. But if you can help me to be aware of when I'm doing it, so that I can stop, say, Mama, you're doing it right now, and kind of help hold me accountable in that way. And then it kind of teaches them, that I can help hold them accountable too. And so it's a relationship type. I'm thankful that they give me lots of opportunity. They tell me a lot, okay, Mom, you're doing it.
You're teaching them, though. Like, what a good example. And just like how to regulate your emotions too, right?
Right.
Like,
because
I'm getting to the point. I need you to help me, and then I'll help you, and recognizing that.
That's right. So Right. With boys, there's a lot of, I mean, I guess girls are this way too, but with the boys, it seems like anger is a common one,
Yes, I would say more. Yeah.
Yeah. So, that's right. We all need help regulating our emotions, and definitely my struggle.
Yeah.
So if they can practice ways that they can help me, then I think it will help them growing up when they get married and their spouse, like they can
Oh, for sure. And their
practice,
kids and
yeah.
practice emotions, like emotional regulation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So your boys are very different ages. So you have Asher, that's what, is he 12?
Asher's 12.
And then
Levi's 10.
Yes.
Jesse is 7. I can't even remember them all now.
And Jordan
is 4, almost 5. So we finally hit the middle school preteen years. It's going wonderful.
And you're out of the terrible 3s.
We're out of the terrible 3s.
Yay.
So diapers are done, and sanity has set in. Said no one ever.
What do you feel like is the biggest struggle with the big age gap and having middle school and a 4-year-old? And I'm sure that comes along with stuff too, like every age. But
I think one of the things that's been a challenge is I try to think about what I need to do for Asher, because I feel like because he's the first, he's always doing something new for me, and new for him. And I'm like, so how do I need to help him? I feel like I need to help him, and I think that's fear actually in me. Cause I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, he needs to know how to, navigate 6th grade, 7th grade. I've got to help him. But Eric likes to remind me he's okay. He knows how to, he knows how to navigate this. So I think being present for him in all of the newness and things that he's facing, and then being available to, of course, the middle boys that are my most emotional ones. So my middle 2 are my most emotional ones. Levi's, he's very tender. And he can spiral. And so I have to make sure that I make time for him, because he can feel left out. And then Jesse's definitely very emotional and loud and independent. So he wants to do his own thing. So I have to, it's just hard they're all in different stages, and they all have different needs. And they all have different expectations, and
they're also different too.
They have a different way that they learn too, And so then Jordan is the baby. He knows he's the baby. And thankfully, he gets a lot of time with me. But it's just hard because he wants me all the time. Yeah. And it's like my brain is toast, but every day at the end of the day. So
is Asher liking middle school a lot?
He likes it now. He did not like it last year. I think was rather a transition year for him. And interestingly, he's a bit introverted, so he does not need a lot of friends. So that's nice in a way, because there's not a lot of chaos involved from running him to one friend's to another friend's, and he's just likes to be at home and just kind of do his own thing. And so that's helpful, because Levi and Jesse are the ones that have their friends, and they're doing
That's how they
things.
fill their tank.
Yeah, that's how they fill their tank. Right.
What's been Asher's favorite thing about middle school here? Like a favorite event, or because I know they do a lot at Westover.
Right.
For youth.
Right. Asher loves youth. He loves the youth group. He loves to be involved. And I think he just knows that is where he needs to be, and he wants to do the right thing. He's very much a rule follower, and he wants to do the right thing. In his mind, the right thing is attending youth group and going to church and being on time and being a part of. And he doesn't need to, verbally be saying a lot. He doesn't need to be contributing a lot in terms of, just relationships. He just wants to be there and be
Yeah.
available for what is needed. And so,
Well, you've planted that seed in him, though, too, of like church is important and community is important. And so you planted the seed. All those night talks have,
all those night talks,
have set in. I feel like that's when they're the most open, though, too, is the night when you are just so drained, but they want to sit and talk. And you're like, okay, let me gather the energy till 9:30. But I am just so done.
It's so true. It's so true. And some of them want to talk, and others just want you to lay up with them. And so Asher and Levi have loft beds, and Levi love for me to sleep with them at night, and they always like wrap their arms around me, and I get entangled in their legs and everything. And Levi's like, he's always been this way, Levi, and he's like, okay, you can't leave until I fall asleep. And I'm like, okay. So I'm like a ninja trying to escape his arms. I mean, then I move and he's like, oh, and he's like, don't leave yet, Mom. And so, but I think, they all have, like I said, they all have different needs. And so like with the more emotional ones, sometimes they need, like Levi and Jesse, they are the physical ones. So they like that physical touch. They like me to lay with them. They like me to snuggle with them, and they need the hugs, all the times. And so I have noticed that they are less, they respond with, and they're more emotionally stable when they get that physical touch. And so it is interesting.
That's amazing that you notice it and that you do it, right? Like that you're in tune with them. I feel like that's a huge thing with kids. Like if you can figure out their love language and do it, it really does keep them more stable.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah. Well, Pamela, thank you for stopping by for Coffee and Conversation with Rachel.
Thank you for having me. It was lovely.
Yes. Join me next week with Patricia Tomberlin as we continue our series on raising godly boys. See you next week.